So I rescheduled my flight, had no other business in Houston. Some told me I possibly could run into HoneyKomb Brazy, you know, after the Vlad TV interview.
Okay.
I don't know that this woman who just walked by me and stepped on my shoe and kind of nudged me was Jay Prince's daughter. All I know is, man, they got rude staff, and I've been tipping it, not knowing that's his daughter. So after the guy said I don't with him, he started leaning over talking to Dr. Candace Matthews' husband, who was just sitting down right within maybe 5 feet from me. So I'm watching his body language. I'm seeing his body language. They're having a long conversation, about a good 8 to 10 minutes. He walk off and go into the corner. So I keep my eye on him the whole time. Dr. Candace Matthews' husband get up from the table, smiling, laughing. I said, yeah, man, I see that body language. He said, yeah, man, he mad. Yeah, man, you a fool, man. He said, you sent him a picture of you. I said, that's where I know that from. That's right, yeah, that jumped in my inbox one time.
And you actually did that?
Listen, if you get in my DM.
Charleston White just admitted something you don't hear from him too often. Before even getting back into Houston, he already had HoneyKomb Brazy on his mind.
Damn low down, dirty, and I'm gonna tell Jay Prince this here. I'm telling mob ties, rap a lot, y'all can do y'all hear that woman's voice? Do y'all hear the pain in that woman's voice? Now you've been knowing this was a kids event for over a month, but because Jay Prince, because I refused to sit down with you, y'all called my manager and I told you ain't sitting down with no. Now all of a sudden the mayor's office is getting calls. So you mean to tell me you nigga go put kids' life in jeopardy? Y'all called the mayor's office and said, man, when we know it's a kids event and he speak, we go hurt him at a kids event. That's why I hate you coward ass mob. That's why I hate you coward ass gangsters. That's why you ain't all the power y'all got in Houston. Y'all could have helped that woman in the organization, but you want to derail her event. You James Prince, your punk sons too, and your weird daughter that's abusing kids. Fuck James Prince family. Go help somebody. Go help somebody. I'm willing to die and go to jail. The only reason I ain't show up is because Miss Pap called me. The police didn't say they wasn't gonna protect me because I got some that'll go against James Prince with me. Listen, James Prince run 5th Ward. He don't run Houston. They run 5th Ward. He don't run Houston. He don't run Texas. He don't run Dallas. He don't run 5th Ward and that rap-a-lot label. They don't run nothing else. And I tell that to his face, he don't run nothing. You got to pay somebody to do something, James. You got to pay somebody to do something, James. You ain't no let's go do nothing, James. You ain't no that'll take his shirt off.
Charleston said he had rescheduled his flight and didn't really have any other business left in the city. But after his Vlad TV interview, he claims people started warning him there was a chance he could randomly cross paths with HoneyKomb Brazy. Charleston said, some told me I possibly could run into HoneyKomb Brazy, you know, after the Vlad TV interview. And that's important because Charleston is usually the type to talk like nobody can make him uncomfortable. This time, though, he wasn't pretending the possibility meant nothing. He was clearly aware of who might be around, and once he started noticing strange energy inside one Houston establishment, everything hit different.
Nigga, please. Nigga, I ain't scared of now one of you bitch ass nigga, homie. I think all you had sit down and pee when it come to it like me and the police. This is what I want to tell you, James Prince. When I talked to the FBI yesterday, the FBI want to know, why would the Houston Police Department, the FBI is curious to know, James, why would the Houston Police Department give you a police report to an open murder investigation with people's names and statements on there? Who in the police department you got paying? Who you paying in HPD? Because everybody know you got the police on the payroll. The FBI just can't infiltrate the Houston Police Department to get them. Everybody know James Prince got the Houston Police Department on their payroll. That's why when Trey and Zero was when them jumping on Trey, that's why they did it in front of the Houston Police Department, and the Houston Police Department never stopped it. Y'all noticed that in that video, right?
According to Charleston, a woman walked past him, stepped on his shoe, and gave him a slight nudge. At first, he didn't think much of it besides believing the staff was being rude. Then he later learned who he says that woman was. Charleston said, "I don't know that this woman who just walked by me and stepped on my shoe and kinda nudged me was Jay Prince's daughter." Now suddenly, what seemed like one small awkward moment became part of a much bigger story. Charleston claims he had no idea he was inside an establishment connected to Jay Prince's family. He says he had been tipping people, sitting there normally, and moving like it was just another event. Nobody, according to Charleston, pulled him aside and explained exactly whose territory he was walking into. And considering everything Charleston has publicly said about Jay Prince and people connected to him, Charleston believes somebody should have warned him. But the shoe incident wasn't even what really made him suspicious. Charleston says he noticed a man sit down near Dr. Candace Matthews and start having what looked like a serious conversation. He watched them for several minutes, studying the man's body language while Dr. Candace sat only a few feet away. He said the conversation went on for around 8 to 10 minutes before the man eventually moved away.
Why would the Houston Police Department give James Prince and his son, who was at a open murder investigation, why would they give him the police report where they got witness addresses and witness statements and witness names? Who in the police department is that crooked? Were they in bed with Rap-A-Lot mob ties? This is an open murder investigation. The FBI want to get Houston Police Department and Rap-A-Lot mob. They trying to connect the dots with them too. And you can best believe there are people making phone calls right now today. You can best believe there are people making phone calls right now today to the FBI wanting to know, how does James Prince get a motherfucking police report with witnesses' names and addresses and statements on it in an open murder investigation? Who dirty? What dirty cops working with Rap-A-Lot? Does James Prince get a police report with witnesses' names and addresses and statements on it in an open murder investigation? Who dirty? What dirty cops working with Rap-A-Lot? Those are the questions we need to be asking. Not that we trying to shut down a Houston, Texas. Everybody knows Jay Prince is dirty and there's dead bodies around him and his sons. So let's get the FBI in on this, James. Since you so bad, where you can shut down youth events, you ain't that bad. Shut your up. Quit crime. And I ain't never sitting down with no like you. Hit me in the mouth. I keep telling you, if don't none of you like what I'm saying, you kill me or hit me in the mouth or shut you up. Cause I ain't gonna quit talking. Can't no put no muzzle on my mouth. Suck my James. You and your group of gangsters. Say what's up, soul brother?
My brother, you make it in yet?
Nah, I ain't made it in yet.
Okay, dang, I was gonna tell you, man, we in the championship. I was gonna try to get you to come out to the game.
Yeah. Nah, I ain't gonna be in till tomorrow.
Charleston recalled saying, "Yeah, man, I see that body language." From there, Charleston started watching everybody differently. In his version of events, people around him appeared to understand exactly what was happening, while he was the only one missing the full picture.
Okay, look, the jacket ain't make it in yet, but I got the address to send it to you.
Okay, bet.
Alright. It'll be sweet, man. But yeah, man, we'll see you tomorrow, man.
I already bet.
What do I need to do? Do I need to just text you before I get there? Or,
Yeah, just call. I call you when I get in. I get in real early, so I hit you tomorrow morning.
Okay, bet it up.
I bet.
Appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah, so y'all just heard it from Miss Pap yourself, man. Ain't nobody shutting anyway. Ain't no comedy show. I don't know where these getting no comedy show from. My comedy show is in Virginia. I told y'all I was going to Houston to do a community event. Community and comedy don't even sound alike. Community event, comedy show. Community event, comedy show. So I don't know where the fuck these get off with a comedy show. Boy, these bloggers, that's why I tell you, don't believe these bloggers. Only believe half of what you hear, half of what you see, then you research the other and then put all the facts together and you see what's true. But please don't listen to these bloggers. And these are my friends. These are my guys. But I know they're just doing lackluster reporting and they just doing this for numbers. They're not gonna do any due diligence. Their team of people, they're not gonna do any research. Hey, call Charleston. Hey, call somebody from Rap-A-Lot. Hey, they're not gonna do any of that to verify and make sure everything is credible. They're gonna hear something, it's gonna sound sensationalized, it's gonna sound like this gonna be, and they're gonna post it without any doing accurate research, and that's where we're losing it as a people and as a culture, because we are taking lies and half lies for facts and face value truth in spirit and in truth.
Charleston later claimed that Dr. Candace knew more about the people inside that building than she ever told him. Now, that doesn't automatically prove Charleston was intentionally set up. That's his interpretation of what happened, and there are different versions of this story floating around. But Charleston definitely believes he was put in a situation where other people had information he didn't have. And with HoneyKomb Brazy already sitting in the back of his mind before all of this happened, Charleston started connecting every look, every conversation, and every strange interaction inside that building. That's when this stopped being a random Houston appearance and turned into something Charleston believed could have gone very wrong. And this is where Charleston's story took a much more serious turn, because he says the tension wasn't only happening inside that establishment. He believes it was already affecting a community event he was supposed to attend. Charleston claimed the event had been planned for weeks and was centered around kids in Houston. According to him, everybody involved already knew exactly what kind of event it was. So when he started hearing that outside pressure was suddenly coming down on the organizers, he immediately blamed Jay Prince and people around him.
Like, I'm writing Trump.
You know what? And I'm gonna say this, Charleston. Your fight, you have your fight on how you do your stuff, bro.
Man, Dr. King, all I know, y'all left me vulnerable. Somebody should have been whispering in my ear, this is this man's daughter establishment. Get out of here. We seeing what he doing. So I ain't caring about nothing. Y'all watch this do this to me. And only for me to come back and lie and say I wasn't invited. I'm up by lying.
It was a public event. Everybody's invited.
I didn't know it was. She finna piss me off because she's scared.
Yeah. Hey, now look, listen.
Charleston said, "You've been knowing this was a kids' event for over a month." From Charleston's point of view, the timing looked way too convenient. He claims there had already been attempts to get him to sit down with Jay Prince, but Charleston refused. Then, after he turned that down, he says the mayor's office allegedly started receiving calls connected to concerns surrounding his appearance. That's when Charleston exploded. He accused people connected to the situation of putting unnecessary pressure on an event that was supposed to help the community. And instead of keeping his anger focused on one person, Charleston started calling out the entire Prince family. But here's the important part. Charleston was making some extremely serious accusations during this rant, and those claims were coming directly from him. They weren't established facts. Still, Charleston clearly believed the event was being disrupted because of his ongoing issues with Jay Prince. He basically argued that if somebody really had that much influence in Houston, they should be using it to help community organizations instead of creating more problems around them.
His belly, put it in there. Yeah, they say Wack shaved the back of his thighs. They say the back of Wack thighs was shaved. All that hooping and hollering. Who all knew Wack was over there naked? But thought Wack was over there naked. Say that 5'5" with them big old hairless thighs. Boy, I got hair on my thighs, Wack. You hear me? But Wack standing 5'5" with them hairless thighs. They say that boy shaving the back of his leg with Noxzema. Putting Noxzema cream on the back of his leg and shaving it so he get that Bengay tingling feel. And say the boy put what they say that boy putting on the cheeks? Yeah, they say Wack rubbing that Jergens. Yeah, that Jergens meat lotion that dry up real fast on his ass and go lay on his belly.
Charleston said, "All the power y'all got in Houston, y'all could have helped that woman and her organization." That was the angle he kept pushing. To Charleston, this was bigger than a personal beef. He was trying to frame it as powerful people allegedly interfering with something positive simply because they didn't like what he had been saying publicly.
I knew you nigga, I knew that was the type of lay in the bed like Punky Brewster. Y'all got to go back and watch the when Punky Brewster first come on, she was laying on her stomach with them white socks on with her 2 feet up in her and they was crossed. Yeah, that whack was laying on his bed like Punky Brewster. Say, I thought I seen him tapping his big toe. I ain't say, what y'all betting? And listen, that'll be on Club. I didn't say, I've been on Clubhouse for a long time. Say, listen, Whack 100 be on Clubhouse a long time, sitting up there button. Say,
and Charleston wasn't backing down either. He claimed the only reason he didn't show up at one point was because a woman involved with the event called him directly. He also pushed back against the idea that law enforcement had simply refused to protect him. Then Charleston took another shot at Jay Prince's reputation. He said, "James Prince run 5th Ward. He don't run Houston." That line really showed where Charleston's head was at. He wasn't denying that Jay Prince has influence. Charleston was basically saying that influence has limits, and he wasn't willing to treat Jay Prince like somebody who controls an entire city. He went even further, saying Jay Prince doesn't run Texas, Dallas, or anywhere outside the areas Charleston personally associates with him.
if they ever catch me, I'm laying on my back with that dick in the air. I'm laying on my back like I just got rolled. I'm laying there out. But you ain't gonna find me on no now pitching, stand on my belly. I ain't no man got no business on his belly with it supposed to be standing up posing with that in his hand. You got played. And your wife got to go to the beauty shop and listen to her husband, them talk about her husband back, his booty, his calf muscles, up under his feet. Yeah. I bet you eat with your now, don't you, Whack? I bet you one of them big old and put an arch in his back and go down there and let his feet hang off the bottom of the bed and put your ass in there trying to comfortably eat. Well, I don't eat. Yeah. I don't eat. I'm like, no, I ain't never, and I ain't no tongue kisser, nigga. I'm a langer. Yeah, laying on it. Say, and he looked it comfortable too. Oh, I get all the time. I don't lay on my belly though. Yeah, you done time before. You know not to never lay on your belly. It's something psychologically keeping off his belly. But I guess you look like needed some air down where a little bit of air needed.
And that's when Charleston's rant stopped sounding defensive and started sounding like a direct challenge. Because instead of trying to stay away from the controversy, Charleston was now publicly questioning Jay Prince's power, his reputation, and the fear people supposedly have around his name. But that challenge was about to lead Charleston into an even more explosive set of allegations, this time involving Houston police, an open investigation, and what Charleston claims he discussed with federal authorities. Charleston wasn't done challenging Jay Prince's influence either, because next he shifted away from the community event completely and started making much heavier claims about Houston law enforcement. According to Charleston, he had recently spoken with the FBI, and he says one question kept coming up. How could information from an open murder investigation allegedly end up in the hands of people connected to Jay Prince?
I like him. Say, boy, I can only imagine, boy, when it's time to fart or poop, you on there arguing with and talking tough on Pyru. On well, pull up then on pop. Listen, that thing got. Say, I'm wrong with you in the game, but boy, I'm no wonder you ain't live on Instagram. You wanna lay on your belly, hollering at the world, getting out. Boy, you probably got. Hey, you probably hunching the bed like a.
Charleston said, when I talked to the FBI yesterday, the FBI want to know why would the Houston Police Department give you a police report to an open murder investigation with people's names and statements on there. Now, that is a massive accusation, so it needs to be clear that this is Charleston's claim. Dripzine has not seen evidence proving that Jay Prince paid police officers, received protected information illegally, or that federal investigators reached the conclusions Charleston was suggesting. But Charleston wasn't speaking carefully at all. He openly questioned whether somebody inside the Houston Police Department could allegedly be leaking information. And he repeatedly demanded to know how witness names, addresses, and statements could supposedly become available outside an active case. Charleston asked, who in the police department is that crooked? Were they in bed with Rap-A-Lot mob ties? That's where his rant got much bigger than just Charleston versus J. Prince. Charleston started painting the situation like something federal investigators should examine, claiming there were questions about possible connections between people around Rap-A-Lot and Houston police. He also brought up past incidents involving Houston artists, arguing that certain public situations made him suspicious about how law enforcement responded. Again, Charleston was connecting those dots himself. Suspicion is not the same thing as proof, but what made this part interesting is Charleston clearly wasn't trying to calm anything down. Every time the situation moved into more serious territory, he pushed harder. Instead of only saying he felt uncomfortable in Houston, Charleston was now publicly demanding answers about who supposedly had access to sensitive information and why. He said people should be asking, what dirty cops working with Rap-A-Lot? That's a completely different level of accusation from arguing over an event or somebody stepping on your shoe. And Charleston seemed to know exactly how serious his words were. He kept bringing federal authorities into the conversation, saying people were allegedly making calls and asking questions behind the scenes. Whether those claims lead anywhere is another story entirely, but Charleston clearly wanted J. Prince to know he wasn't planning on getting quiet just because the conversation had become more serious. That's really been Charleston's entire approach here. The more pressure he says he feels, the louder he gets. But there was another problem developing at the same time. While Charleston was giving his version of what happened in Houston, bloggers online were starting to tell a completely different story about why one of his appearances had changed, and Charleston was about to accuse some of his own media friends of chasing clicks without even checking the facts. While Charleston was throwing serious accusations at J. Prince, another version of the story was spreading online, and Charleston said some bloggers didn't even have the basic facts right. According to Charleston, people started reporting that a comedy show in Houston had somehow been shut down because of all this drama. Charleston immediately pushed back, saying there was one major problem with that story. He wasn't even supposed to be doing a comedy show there. Charleston said, "My comedy show is in Virginia. I told y'all I was going to Houston to do a community event." And Charleston couldn't believe people were mixing those two things together. He even started repeating the words back to back, basically clowning how different they sound. Community event, comedy show, community event, comedy show. For Charleston, that mistake became proof of something he's been complaining about for a long time. Bloggers rushing to upload the wildest version of a story before actually checking what happened. He told people, only believe half of what you hear, half of what you see, then you research the other. Charleston even admitted that some of the bloggers talking about him were people he actually knew, but that didn't stop him from accusing them of doing weak reporting and chasing numbers instead of making calls, checking both sides, or verifying basic details. And that part is kind of ironic, because Charleston himself was making some huge allegations throughout this whole situation. So while he was demanding that bloggers verify their stories, viewers also had every reason to apply that same standard to what Charleston was saying. But then the conversation swung right back to what happened inside that Houston establishment. Another voice discussing the situation claimed Charleston knew more than he was letting on, and suggested that the people whispering around him weren't plotting anything mysterious. According to that version, they were allegedly talking about Charleston's previous comments involving J. Prince's daughter and wanted him to address what he had said. The claim was that Charleston had been brought into her establishment so he could apologize. And that's where the two versions completely clash. Charleston insisted he didn't even know the woman who crossed paths with him was connected to J. Prince. He also said nobody warned him where he was or who might be around him. Charleston said, "All I know, y'all left me vulnerable. Somebody should have been whispering in my ear. This is this man's daughter establishment. Get out of here." That line really sums up Charleston's argument. He wasn't saying nobody around him noticed the tension. He was saying the exact opposite. Charleston believes people saw what was happening and still let him sit there without explaining the bigger picture. That's why he eventually turned his frustration toward Dr. Candace Matthews, too. Charleston started questioning why somebody he trusted would bring him into that environment without giving him a clear warning first. And once that accusation came out, another person went even further, claiming Dr. Candace didn't accidentally put Charleston in an awkward spot at all, but allegedly helped line the whole situation up. That's the angle that would take this story into its final chapter, because now Charleston had J. Prince's family, Dr. Candace, and even HoneyKomb Brazy all floating around the same Houston story. And now we get to the part that really connects this whole story back to HoneyKomb Brazy. Because after all the talk about J. Prince's daughter, Dr. Candace Matthews, the community event, and what Charleston believes happened behind the scenes, one detail still stands out. Charleston admitted before all of this even unfolded that he had already been warned he could possibly run into HoneyKomb Brazy in Houston. That doesn't necessarily mean Charleston was terrified of him, but for somebody who normally talks like he'll walk anywhere without worrying about anybody, simply admitting that another man was on his radar definitely got people talking. Charleston knew Houston wasn't neutral ground. He knew his Vlad TV comments had created more tension, and he apparently understood that accidentally crossing paths with HoneyKomb Brazy could turn into something much bigger than an internet argument. Then, almost out of nowhere, Charleston switched gears and started clowning Wack 100. He went on a long roast about Wack's appearance and an old situation that had circulated online. Charleston being Charleston, he stretched the jokes way past the original point and turned the whole thing into comedy. But Dripzine isn't gonna sit here and pretend that Wack 100 detour is the main story, because it isn't. The bigger question is what Charleston actually believed was happening around him in Houston. One side of the story says Charleston walked into an establishment connected to J. Prince's daughter without understanding exactly where he was, then became suspicious after noticing conversations and body language around him. Another version suggests Charleston knew more than he admits and was allegedly brought there because people wanted him to address comments he had previously made. And Charleston believes Dr. Candace Matthews should have warned him before he ever ended up in that position. That's a lot of different stories coming from the same night. Then you add HoneyKomb Brazy's name into the mix, and it becomes easy to understand why Charleston was watching everybody so closely. Even the original commentary questioned whether HoneyKomb Brazy, J. Prince's daughter, or anybody else had actually coordinated anything involving Charleston. There's no clear proof presented that all of these people were secretly working together, but Charleston clearly felt like something was off, and that might be the most revealing part of this entire situation. Charleston built his reputation by saying almost anything about almost anybody. But talking wild online is one thing. Being physically present in somebody else's city, hearing that somebody you've spoken about could be nearby, and realizing you might be inside an establishment tied to another person you've publicly challenged is completely different. So was Charleston actually scared of HoneyKomb Brazy, or was he simply smart enough to admit that certain situations can become unpredictable when internet beef turns into a real-life encounter? Either way, Charleston hasn't slowed down. If anything, this Houston situation gave him even more to talk about. But now, I want to hear what you think. Was Charleston really being set up, or did he walk into a tense situation and start connecting dots afterward? And do you think HoneyKomb Brazy was genuinely somebody Charleston didn't want to run into? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, subscribe to Dripzine, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.